coming east. You see it all the time. So, I think, it'll be really interesting. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited though. As for the Panthers, I don't know what to make of them yet. I don't think they're going to be good. McCaffrey's obviously a really good player. Bridgewater looked the same as Bridgewater always looks. He's got just a very middle of the pack sort of guy. Got a bit of Robbie Anderson, the new signing, but I never thought they were going to win this game. I was shocked they took the lead. So it might be a bit of a sign of hope, but I'm not sold yet. But give me a couple more weeks. Let's go on to Trubisky, who comes back late to prove him worthy of being a top 3 pick. I'll let you start.
No, he's not, because they should have lost. Let's face it. Detroit dropped the game winner. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel bad for the Rook, but
he dropped
that went into both his hands. Like you and I would have snagged that one. Like that was bad.
I don't know.
I definitely would have. But it's very. I mean, you know me. I don't have the Lions going anywhere, and I don't like the head coach, so I'm glad they lost. But they should have won that game. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. They should have. And Stafford's got something to say for it too. Like, he threw a pick late. They're trying to run the clock out. They're up 10 points. You throw a pick and you literally give that team good position to score the game. He was perfect all day. He was not perfect. He was great all day. Adrian Peterson looked awesome. It turns out he is going to be able to do something in that offense. Now, I don't know how good the Bears are, but the last couple of years defensively, they've been pretty good, and they've got a lot of good players on that defense. So I think the way that Adrian Peterson was able to run on it was a good sign for the Lions. But this is what the Lions have been lately. They cost themselves late and they lose games that they should win. It's what they did all last year. And then the Lions got hurt.
So the Lions gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter and then dropped the game winner. So they could have got away with that, and they still lost.
They're just, do you know what I think it is? I think this sucks, but I just don't think they're winners.
It's a loser organization and has been for as long as I can remember.
I just don't think they shake it, and I don't think if anyone's going to break the curse, I don't think it's Matt Patricia. I just don't.
No, of course it's not.
Sorry, let's move on. The one we've been waiting for. Rivers is done. Minshew is a god.
The Fu Manchu. How good was it? What was he, 20 or 19 of 21 or something like that? Look, Jacksonville have no plays.
173, 3 touchdowns with just no one around him.
No Jacksonville has. This could be their only win of the year. Like, it really could be.
They played so well. I was enjoying. It wasn't a great game. This game. Quickly on the Colts. I'm not going to destroy Phillip Rivers yet. He made a terrible interception, and then, like last year at the Chargers, they then had to rely on him, and he's just not that guy anymore. He's not that guy, and they're not that offense. They haven't got that set up for him. They need to run the ball well and let him run play action and drop it off medium and short and make plays that way. They're not going to be a team. If they get down a couple of touchdowns, they're in real trouble, because Phillip Rivers is not a slinger anymore. He's just not that guy. So if that's what you want him to be, get over it. He's going to be different, and he has to adjust too. He's really got to learn what he is, and he's got to learn quick, smart. I definitely think this is Rivers' last year, though. I think he's done after this year.
Yeah, I think so too. It really was he looked like he was in the exact same situation as he had been with the Chargers for the last 3 years, and he threw the pick at the perfect time that he threw his picks.
They were playing okay. They lost Marlon Mack, their starting running back, Achilles. Did you see that injury? He didn't even have the ball in his hand. Didn't even get hit. He just turned.
Yeah.
The Achilles.
And it just, yeah.
Good thing is they've got Jonathan Taylor from a second-round guy who they really like, and they've got Naheem Hines, who's a really good athlete. So they're not dead there, and a great O-line. I'm not concerned about the Colts. Let's just give them – I'm not going to go. But Jags, I'm getting up and about, because this might be the only time we can get up about them. They were great. It was fun. His energy. He's like Jamal Adams, but on offense. He's just enjoyable. I like watching him. He's confident. He's always going to try. You can just tell he's just effort. He's always trying. I don't know how talented he is. We'll find out as the years and the games go by, I guess. But he's fun, and he's what the Jags need right now. But riddle me this, right? Say that they're bad this year. Say they're bad, right? But he plays like this most weeks. He's very efficient, very good. And they get the number 1 pick. Are they taking a quarterback, or are they going to build around Minshew?
No, they're going to take Lawrence.
I think so.
Whoever has the number 1 pick is taking Lawrence. It's as simple as that. Like, that pick is done.
unless it's like someone who's starting quarterback gets injured, like say Burrow gets injured and the Bengals have the first overall pick or something like that they won't.
Well, they'll trade out. They'll trade out.
Yeah, I think
someone will want to come in for Lawrence, and with a very watered down college season this year, it's even more of a lock because everyone has seen Lawrence. He's won a national title. He started as a freshman.
Yep.
Everybody's seen him. So,
just looking at the disparity, the total yards 445 to 241. They almost
considerable.
204 yards more than the Jags and lost. And you know what the difference was? Jacksonville, 4 sacks, 2 turnovers for Indianapolis. That's the difference. That's the absolute difference. And third down efficiency didn't help. It's 33% to 50%. Other than that, it was all pretty even. The Texans, the Colts. You could watch this game 100 times and without a score up and not understand how the Colts didn't win. So that's why I'm not getting too worried. I don't think they're going to have those situations every week. Let's get over to Green Bay, where Aaron Rodgers is in full FU mode. Full FU mode. He doesn't go in. It's not just against some scrub Detroit Lion or Jacksonville Jaguars team. It's against division rival last year, a playoff team, a very talented team by their own right, the Minnesota Vikings. And Aaron Rodgers went in, said, "Come here, kids," pulled their pants down and smacked them all day long. He was outstanding. I watched this game, pretty much all of it, because it was the one that was on Foxtel. Mate, he was slinging it, dimes. That was old Aaron. And I don't know, if this lasts all year, they're going to be very hard to beat, and he will be the MVP.
He's about the only bright spark on my fantasy team right now. He was exceptional, and this game was not this close. If it wasn't for some junk feeling touchdowns at the end, which of course was going against me in fantasy.
Good, but
they were slinging it. They were going for it. They were throwing caution to the wind to try and catch up, and a couple of them came off because Green Bay knew they'd already won the game. So it really wasn't as close as it actually looked. I thought, Rodgers was exceptional, and Adams, if he isn't one of the best receivers in the NFL, he was so good in this game. So good. I don't think I have either.
He plays like that. He's definitely one of the top 5 guys. His route running is outstanding.
That's what I was going to say. His route running is so good. It just gets him open. At first, I was like, God, does anyone cover this guy? And I went back and watched the All-22.
They can't cover him. There was 2 of it.
He's so good.
Corner touchdown he ran. They had a corner underneath of him. They had a safety over the top playing like inside leverage. So in the corner, it was like, because obviously it's easy if you're underneath as a corner to play outside leverage because you watch your turn and you can play it.
See everything.
But so they had the safety playing the inside leverage. He ran to the post, to the corner of the end zone. The corner couldn't keep up with him. And the safety was watching him, and as soon as he broke, you saw the guy's face. He was like panic. It's like, oh my God, I can't. And that's Harrison Smith. That's not a crap safety. That's a very good safety. So, and he couldn't get there. He literally looked at him and started sprinting and didn't get within 3 yards of him by the time he caught it. That's how sharp.
And it was a really nice ball too.
And that's what Rodgers does. If you run to the right spot, he will hit you there. I said one week, I still don't like that they didn't add anyone else. I feel like there's going to be games where, Marcus Valdez-Scantling doesn't get 96 yard. Alan Lazard doesn't get a 35-yard touchdown. I think there's going to be those games where it all relies on Devontae Adams and teams can shut him down. And that's when Rodgers is going to, he's not going to have anyone else. And that's the Packers' fault as an organization, not Aaron Rodgers. But what's going to look great is AJ Dillon, who they took in the second round this year. His 2 carries are going to be great. And Jalen Hurts, the backup quarterback, is it Jalen Hurts or Love?
No,
Sorry,
Love.
Jordan Love, who didn't travel with the team. So that first round pick that just sat, you just sitting back at home, just watching the game on the TV, just probably taking some notes with the coach. Yeah, good one. Good one, Green Bay. Well played. And that's the organization. That's what annoys me. So, but Aaron Rodgers, I enjoyed the FU mode. It was very fun. Richie, you're an Aaron Rodgers liker like me. It was
Loved
great.
It. Oh, it was the best. I mean, I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Look, he could be a bit of a petulant child from time to time.
Can't be though.
He's a lot. He holds a grudge. But he is one of the finest quarterbacks. I'm glad I've been able to say I've seen him in person. But in our time, getting to watch him, he's so good. But just what you're saying, I think Aaron Jones gave them more than I thought he was honestly capable of. If he can give them that all year long, like if he's getting 4 and a bit yards a clip,
Which he will.
If he can pull that off for the whole year, getting a touchdown every second week, every week and a bit, I think that's going to be just enough to let the receivers really run rampant. And if Rodgers, if this is the story for the year, there could be a lot of guys in the running for the MVP. Let's just say that.
These are week 1 overreactions, but yes, they're definitely. He will be. He plays like this all year, and they win a lot of football games. You know what? Someone said to me, it was my brother called me and said, "Oh, should I put money on Cam Newton for MVP?" And I was like, and that brings us to our next one: is it Cam Newton is the NFL MVP? But I said, no. I said, well, the narrative's there. If they're good and they win the division and they go they make the playoffs easy, and Cam Newton plays 16 games, he'll be a chance to win MVP. There's no doubt in my mind. Bill's done it again. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I can't believe I didn't put them in the playoffs. The Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, Richard. It's decided.
Well, I don't know if they're going to do that, but I had them to win the North. The East, so I still feel really good about that now.
If anyone could win the North from the East, it'd be Bill Belichick. I'm telling you. That guy, it'd be like, yeah, we'll
probably. I think how different that offense looked. I mean,
it was fun.
McDaniels is just built they got Cam on a 1-year deal. They're going to use every bit of that 1 year up. I think there were 10 design runs for him in the game, something like that, plus some additional scrambles. He looked good. He looked fresh. He looked fit for the first time in a couple of years. He looked like he's lost some weight.
He's a vegan now. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Good for him. I'm surprised I didn't know. Most vegans do tell you. So
on Instagram then.
No. Look, he looked fit. He looked fresh. And can it last 16 games? I don't know. But if it does, I mean, look out. Because that secondary of the Patriots, I know it doesn't have Chung in it, but it's pretty bloody good still.
Very good.
And they're up front, so the linebacker situation's got some questions, obviously.
You know what, though? Just what Bill Belichick does. He just finds ways to make it work. He'll find 6 guys off the scrap pile in the next 2 weeks, and they'll all play little roles and be good enough to make that defense, a top half of the league.
Yeah. If this is what Cam Newton is this year, look out. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, he's a real chance to be MVP. I just want to say it was the Dolphins. They've sucked for a while. Fitzpatrick was terrible. They'll give him another week. I reckon if he's like this again, if he throws 3 picks again, I think Tua is in.
Tua time.
I think they should have put Tua in on the weekend. I really do believe it. I think after his second pick, they should have said, all right, Fitzmagic's not on. Let's get Tua in and see if he can do something when it's meaningful. Let's see what he's got. But
Tua didn't so much as take his baseball cap off. So clearly he was only there if Fitzmagic couldn't go at all. What you never know in the NFL, especially with rookie quarterbacks, is does he know the offense? Does he have enough of a grasp of it to play a whole game? We don't know. Now he might, but he might not. Who knows?
Yeah, I think we'll see him sooner rather than later, though. I'd like to find when their buy is. I'd say to be right around that.
I wouldn't feel great throwing him against a Bill Belichick defense, quite frankly. Bill could have eaten him up. Because
Fitzmagic, he throws 3 picks and he wouldn't even remember it when he got home. He'd just come in next week and be like, let's go, let's ball again. He's thrown 3 picks in the game like it was nothing. Many times. Yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen it with this logo on his bloody jersey.
He played 7 teams. Let's get over to Washington football team. I felt really proud of Ron Rivera. He rides the storm of this offseason and football team gets a come from behind win. So all the crap they've been through, all of it, the name change, the sexual harassment causes, just having to be a Washington player, having to be involved with that sack of shit organization, all that stuff. Then cancer. At halftime, he's got to go and have an IV drip, so he can't address the team. He's got to go in and get his IV to help him get through the game. And then 17 zip down, division rival on the road to come back, not only to come back, but to score the next 27 points and beat them. That must have felt nice. It must have felt good, him walking into that locker room with the off season that he'd had, being like, "That was a win." I don't know how many more are going to come for this team. It wouldn't bother me if it was a lot more, to be honest. I liked it. Was kind of like redemption. It felt really. If I felt good, I can't imagine how Washington fans felt.
Yeah, I mean, this game started bad for them.
Yeah,
I mean, it was 3-and-out punt. I think I'm sure they either lost yards or got no yards on that 3-and-out. Then the Eagles go straight down the field and score. I think Ertz, off the top of my head,
Ertz got
the touchdown. Yeah, thought it was. And all of a sudden, you're down 7-0, and it's things aren't looking great. Everyone's thinking, up, you're going to be terrible. But as you said, they completely turned it around. They got a score in the second quarter, kind of got them going, and they really controlled the rest of the game. And I mean, and how good did that defensive line look?
Oh my God!
With the addition of
So it's fair to say his name's in my mind. All of a sudden, I was literally just looking at Chase Young. It's fair to say he can play. Chase Young, yeah. It's fair to say he can play a bit.
D lineman out of Ohio State, they go all right.
Also, Montez Sweat, who they took in the first round last year, looks like he's a bit of a goer. Looks like he can certainly rush the edge. Matthew Ioannidis is like an unsung hero of that D. And I haven't even got to their next 2 first-round picks out of Alabama, Deron Payne, and the other guy's name's in my mind as well, Jonathan Allen. I haven't even gotten to them yet. Like, they are stacked. That's 5 guys I've just mentioned. And I haven't even got to Ryan Kerrigan yet, who's a former All-Pro on this team. They have got 6 guys that can not only play up front, they can play. They can get after you. They're tough. They're big. I don't want to watch the Dallas offensive line play this team. They are so strong up front. It's not one guy. It's a plethora of them.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
It's rare this many first-round draft picks hit for your team, and I think it's starting to come to them I mean, their concern is the offense. If a team gets going on them, they're going to struggle to keep up. There isn't enough talent over there. From memory, I didn't have them being terrible this year.
I think we had them being both better than the Giants. I had them.
Yeah, I had them being better than Giants, but not a heap of wins, and they've already got one. So the big thing for me is I think their defense is going to keep them in games, and I think long term that defense is going to be really good. They just have to spend.
Landon Collins on that defense too. Like I know he's had a couple of down years, but he can play. He can definitely play.
Then they need to spend some cash on the offensive side of the ball in free agency this year, and they got to bolster the skill positions there, so they need to spend some draft capital on there as well. And I think they've got the basis. Oh yeah, I'm not out or in on Haskins yet. I'd like to see more. I don't think, I'm not looking at him going, like he can't do it, but it's early for him, so we've got to wait and see. Your first 2 years in the league, most of the time we have a pretty good idea of how your career is going to go.
We're going to know a lot by the end of the year, and he's got some.
100% we will.
The offensive line looked okay, not great, but yeah. Look,
that's the biggest problem. There is a lot of on the offense, whereas on the defense, they're starting to get some elite and some very good pieces in there. I
think Chase Young's a hit. I think he's an absolute hit. Like 1.5.
That was a home run.
It was also watching him, and I mentioned it to a few people like Clowney today. Sometimes you just watch guys like they're just everywhere. Jamal Adams and others. You're watching him. He's like he's a football player. His first ever game, the tackles from Philly were just like that. He was a handful. You could just see they weren't comfortable blocking him, which is I think a great sign. Let's move on to the number 1 overall pick from last year, Joe Burrow. He showed a bit. The call on AJ Green, PI or no PI. What do you reckon?
Well, it's more PI than the one your mate copped.
Why are you bringing it up this early? You don't
look, it was a 2-handed shove on a comeback route to the pylon. I mean, it is pass interference.
Definitely sold it. D-backs are just, if I was a ref and saw the D-back swing his body back like that, I'd never call it. I'd be like, you know what? If he pushes you hard enough, I'll know by the way your body. You don't have to fling yourself backwards and pretend. If he's pushed you away, I'll see it. Every time I'd be telling corners, every time you flail like that, I'm not going to call it on you because then now I don't know, has he pushed you hard or are you pretending? That's what AJ Green said. He said, I didn't push him hard. He just flopped.
Yeah, I would think the PI was called very inconsistently this weekend, both ways. I saw bigger push-offs than that not get called. I saw lighter ones get called. And on defense, I saw both as well. I saw some quite egregious, what I thought were defensive pass interference not get called, and then some quite titty touch ones get called. It's probably the biggest judgment call in the NFL because it's out in the open. Like NFL holding, Jesus Christ, that's every single play. There'd never be a run if they called every single one of those.
No.
So you're used to that, and it's in traffic, and quite frankly, who fucking cares? But those ones out in the open, offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference, where there's no one around, everyone's got a clear view of it, there's no one in the way. I just felt they were called really inconsistently this weekend. So we'll have to wait. I think it's going to take a few weeks because let's not forget, there were no preseason games for the refs either.
No, that's true. That's
and
true.
there'll be ones.
One was there. I think if you double arm extend, if both your elbows lock, I think
agreed.
I don't think how hard you're pushing that. That's enough. You're stopping them from making a play.
Yeah, I think it was pass interference as well because the way he ran that route and the way he pushed off, it made it impossible for him. Even if he hadn't done the flail, which I don't think was too oversold.
It wasn't as bad as freaking Jalen Ramsey.
His was a good one. Hey, he sold it beautifully. If he hadn't done that, the D-back would have had the opportunity to make the play on the ball.
I agree. I'll also say I think the ball was thrown that well. I don't think AJ Green. I don't think Adrian needed to push off. I think if he just
but you don't know that when you're doing it.
No, but I think in that point, I think if he'd just been like, all right, he's tied on me here. I'm AJ Green. My arms are 7 foot long. I'm going to turn here and Burrow's because he put it up high away. I don't think Hayward would have got to it. I think the only thing that would have stopped it was AJ Green dropping it.
Yeah. What did you think of AJ Green? I felt like he kind of wanted to be there.
I feel like he hasn't played. Looks like he hasn't played for 2 years. He's a bit rusty, which sounds ridiculous. I think he's there. True. I think he was motivated. I think he enjoyed.
I think his attitude and body language was really good, and it was a good win for them.
Yep, absolutely. All a good loss. They lost. Remember AJ Green?
Oh God,
that doesn't matter. I think I know what you meant.
I was already thinking of the bloody Chargers.
Yeah,
I'd already moved on.
Well, let's roll to the Chargers. And it sounds ridiculous that I have to keep saying this. I'm not sold on Tyrod Taylor. Why are we seeing more and more Tyrod? Why do we need more Tyrod Taylor in our life? Surely Herbert can't be worse than this guy. Sure, I know, he knows how to run offenses. You know what? Tell him to sit on the sideline with a clipboard and help Justin Herbert run an offense. We saw it in Cleveland. I'm over it. Just put Justin Herbert in. You guys aren't a playoff team with Tyrod Taylor. You might be with Herbert. I don't know. You might be. I know you're not with Tyrod Taylor. I know scraping through with late penalties to save you from over. And we dropped the lead. A kicker that cramps while kicking a 20-yard field goal and misses like 48 meters. He almost kicked it into the sideline. Like, that's how you survive this game. And you're like, yep, Tyrod Taylor's our man. That's what we needed to survive the Bengals. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it and I'm not enjoying it. I'm not about it at all.
That's the tennis player who shanks a forehand and looks at the racket. And it was so bad.
Anyway, he cramped. Do you reckon he cramped, or do you reckon he missed it and was like, "Shit, I really"?
It was pretty instant, but
yeah, it looked it. There's a lot of people that are like slow mowing it.
We'll get to another kicker later. But it was, I agree. The Chargers need the future.
And they need fans and that to get around their team. And I'm telling you, it's not happening with Tyrod. It's not.
No,
I respect
it's really
Tyrod
not.
for a long time. And I like him. And he's, from all reports, he's an unbelievable backup and an unbelievable locker guy. And I respect that. I really can. But doesn't mean you have to start him. I'm sorry. Like, you're there to win games, Anthony Lynn.
That's the thing. He survived pretty much just last year. And there's good skill guys around him. You got Mike Williams, you got Keenan Allen, you got Hunter Henry, and running back Eckler. There's some good talent around them. So give
Mike
the kid a go.
Mike Williams made some really good catches. I think that put Herbert in and say, "Hey kid, you got a season. Let's see what happens." You know what? If he gets hot, they might win a few. Because tell you what, their defense is not bad. I think Bosa, Hayward, Murray, Kenneth Murray, the rookie, looked really good at middle linebacker. Linville Joseph, I love that signing. I love Melvin Ingram. We all know, you can tell me whatever you want about him. I love him. He's my eye test rule. He just passes the eyes to me when I watch him play. He could go a game without a tackle, and I'd still think he was the best player on the field. So I like him. I think they've got a lot of players. So we'll see how it goes. Next, who would trade Hopkins in a third-round pick for a third-round pick for running back?
The worst GM in the league.
Yeah, this is not a jab at the Houston Texans. This is a positive at the Arizona Cardinals, who I picked to be in the playoffs, and I'm feeling okay after week 1. Hopkins, 14. Richard, did you just hear what I said?
Yes, I heard.
I
saw it too.
Receptions against not only the Super Bowl team from last year, but the number 1 defense in the league from last year, and a defense that is still very good and played pretty well in this game. He's a cheat code. I thought Kyler Murray was excellent. I enjoyed watching them. They were fun. They were exciting, and they got a win on the road against the Super Bowl runner-ups last year. I think this was a real line in the sand win for them, and I think they're going to go on to be a very good team this year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I've got them in the playoffs too, with a sort of 9-7 type record. They're good fun to watch. Kyler Murray is fun to watch. Enjoyable. The offense is really good fun. Way more fun to watch than your crappy Cowboys offense, but we'll get to that. It's the kind of as I said, Murray can kind of just do anything when he feels like it. I mean, he was their number 1 running back as well, and then out of all the yards he threw, they were all to Hopkins, who was just running around. I think they tried every D-back they had on him.
How much was Gerald loving it? You reckon, just sitting back in the slot being like, yeah.
There was a point. There was a shot.
This might be the guy.
There was a shot of him somewhere in the fourth quarter, and he was giggling. Like, he was in the foreground running back to the huddle. He was laughing. I don't know what he was laughing at, but I think he was having a good time.
Like, hey, that's like the 6th corner they've put on you. Like, we're going to bring Sherman back on him and see how he goes. The problem with Hopkins is you can't press him because he's so big and so strong. He just gets off the ball. And then route running, we talked about it with other guys. They're all elite athletes at this level, especially the high-end receivers. It's his route running. Like we talked about Devontae Adams. He's just so hard to cover. His breaks
separates. His separation is exceptional.
Yeah, very, very film room of you, Richie. The separation out of his breaks, very nice. I like it. And hands. The guy, even if he doesn't get separation, if you throw it out wide of the corner and they're all over him, he'll just catch it. I just don't think he even notices guys on him. So I'm all about Hopkins. As for the 49ers, don't worry. People are ragging on Jimmy Graham. Yeah, he couldn't get done on the last drive. He didn't have
Graham.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Graham. Who's Jimmy Graham?
He's played tight end.
Jimmy Graham, yeah, of course. No, he still plays for the Bears. He does, actually, believe it or not. Jimmy Garoppolo, the handsome Jimmy. He didn't have Kittle at the end. He didn't have his 2 starting wide receivers. And I'm the first to say Shanahan can scheme open everything. In the last 2 minutes of a game, there's no scheme anymore. There's no scheme. It's plays. It's plays and getting big plays. It doesn't become I'm going to set them up with this and do this and move this guy and fake this run and do that. It doesn't become a scheme anymore. It becomes, we're running this play, receivers win your battles, and they couldn't either. They didn't have any good players on the field at the end. That was the problem. So I'm going to give him a couple of weeks grace of hammering him that he's no good. All right, let's just let him go. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not sold on him. I just want to put it out there now.
I'm not going to rag on him in this moment. He didn't have any of his starters. George Kittle was on the field. There's a real argument that George Kittle is the best football player in this league, and he wasn't on the field. And we're not going to give him a little bit of he didn't have his absolute superstar player on the field with him. Like if Baker has Landry breathing heavily, we all give him a free throw. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to tear him apart. I'm not sold, but I'm not going to tear him apart yet. I'm going to give him some time.
Fair enough. I'm certainly not sold. I'm not buying any stock either just yet.
No, I'm not buying stock. But I'm not, you know what? I've got a little bit of it and I'm not selling yet. I'm just going to hold it. I reckon it might hold its value at the very worst. I don't think it's going to just plummet. I think he's going to be fine. Next. It's just, I don't know how I'm going to bring this up without. So, can you read the line, Richie? I don't think I can do it.
Cowboys get beaten by the refs and themselves. Surprised? If you had told me, if you sat me down and said, here are 16 Cowboys games, 15 are from last year, one was this season's, and you have to watch them all in a row, and we're just going to mix it in, you won't find the different one. They literally fired their coach to get the same one in. It was hilarious. You and I were texting pretty rapidly, and I'm like, I can't believe it. It's the same shit offense.
I've watched a lot of Cowboy games. There was nothing different. Absolutely nothing different. It felt like Jason Garrett had a headset into Mike McCarthy's ear going, call an inside zone on first down. You run again on first down. I think they think
no motion in a base formation.
Tell CeeDee Lamb to stay there, all right? Tell him to stay in a 2-by-1. We're not going to move him anywhere. We're not going to give him a different look. Like, are you an idiot? No, the tight end's on the line. I don't want him off the line to make it look like he's going to pull. Just keep him there. I want it inside. I think they know. No, now clap. It didn't work, but clap and tell everyone how good it was. That's what it felt like. I said, I don't like saying the refs cost them the game. They didn't cost them the game. They
didn't at all.
They cost us
the field goal to tie it up.
Agreed. McCarthy, horrible start. I'm not impressed. And I watch a lot of Dallas Cowboys games. I watch them I've already watched that game 3 times just to myself think, maybe they did run different stuff. I'll watch it on the old 22. Maybe I missed some things. No, that's the exact same stuff they've been doing for the past 5 years. And you know what? Ezekiel Elliott is outstanding. I love him. Give him the ball, but it's not how you win football games. Just feeding him for the sake of feeding him isn't going to win you games. The call, absolutely disgraceful. And you know what I'm pissed off about the most? It cost us football because at the least we get a field goal and we get overtime. It cost us narrative. It cost
drive earlier.
Yeah, but then who knows if they get that opportunity. Either way, it was a garbage call. Ramsey flopped because he got beaten. And you know what? Gallup got hold of him a few times. I reckon Jalen Ramsey's got to just tone himself down a little bit. I know he won't because that's kind of his thing.
He played well.
He's a good player. He's a really good, and he made a great play a couple later on the fourth.
Yeah, when he decleated.
Great player, but he got beat on that play. He needed to eat it, and flopping and trying to get and then getting a lucky call is not it. The worst part about it was he was actually grabbing Gallup's arm. That's why the arm extended, because he was pulling his arm to stop him running away. And then they just caught. Then he pulls his arm straight and then throws his chest back like he was like if he hadn't have grabbed Gallup's arm, he would have hit it in stride and probably scored. So I'm against the call. Whatever, it happens. Refs are awful. We know what they are. We talked about it with the other games. They're terrible. But what I'm more disappointed about and what I can't sleep now because of is I think it's the same old Dallas Cowboys. I don't think anything's different. I think you could throw any all-star, any talented player onto that offense, and I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be the same thing. You know what? They'll probably put 40 on the Falcons next week and everyone think it'll be great. And then they'll score 20 against the Bengals and lose. Like that's just the kind of team they're going to be. And I don't think McCarthy's the secret. And I hope I'm wrong. Trust me, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm totally wrong and they turn it around, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't, as you know, I wasn't into the NFL as much as I usually was last year. And I'd kind of forgotten how good Elliott was. That's the first Cowboys game I've watched start to finish in a while.
He was not good last year, though. He was not that guy last year.
Fair enough. But he was exceptional in that game.
Every bit of what I remember him from a couple of years ago. And if we get that this year, we'll win a lot. We'll win enough games.
It's like I texted you during the game. I'm like, you're out talenting them when the talent makes the play. There was no taking advantage of matchups. There was no motion to identify what the secondary is running, no motion to get a better matchup, just nothing. It's Sam Deliver. And the biggest thing I couldn't believe, but no using Dak. He's a weapon. Use the guy. He might walk on you. You've got him under a franchise tag.
Look at what the freaking Rams did with the bums they've got on their team. Like, I'm sorry, Robert Woods, he's fine. He's a fine player. But I don't think he's better than any of the Cowboys' 3 receivers. I don't like talent-wise, but he's more productive because they put him in positions to succeed. All they ever get Amari Cooper to do is run the same thing every time. Like, be creative. Anyway. Let's
was
move on.
I quickly
I'm not surprised though.
If you had, like, I think of some of the younger offensive coordinators in the league who really do interesting things with their offenses, but even old bastards like Andy Reid. Can you imagine him coaching this team?
Can you imagine if we on the weekend just flipped coaches? Could you imagine? Like, I reckon McVay could have just walked over into the Cowboys huddle and gone, "All right, idiots, listen to me. This is what we're doing." And bang, touchdown drive. Like, you're right. The biggest issue I have with the whole thing is why don't they use Prescott for what he can do? Move him, boot him. Everything's a naked boot with no protection. How about you run a boot where you have like the tight end pulling in front? You watch what the Patriots did at least 50 times on the weekend. You boot the tight end, you fake the run to one side, the quarterback pulls around the other way, the tight end goes with him, and the tight end runs to the empty defender like he's going to block him, and you make that defender go, am I going to go and play Dak Prescott? Or am I going to cover this tight end? He covers the tight end. Prescott darts it up inside and goes for 15 yards. If he plays Prescott, he dumps it over the top for 15 yards. I feel like I watched Denver do it 6 times today. And they're not even talented.
It's ridiculous. And then you bring the slot receiver from the other side who's 15 yards down the field is the second read. I mean, 100%. Fuck. It's not hard.
Like, we're 2 scrubs from Australia that know that is basic building an offense with a quarterback that can move. I just don't. I don't know. It's like they think he's a statue. They think it's Tom Brady back there who rushed for a touchdown. But anyway, let's get to Big Ben back in charge. I think Daniel Jones needs to take some notes about not throwing games away. I don't know if Roethlisberger's the guy you want to take notes on permanently, but in this game he certainly was. He looked pretty good.
It was good fun, wasn't it? To see him back. I mean,
he's enjoyable. He's big man.
Yeah, and it was, obviously a serious injury. Worked his way back. I think he looked fitter. I think he was carrying less weight. He certainly trimmed the beard down. That helped. But I think overall, he looked fit. He looked fresh. I thought he moved pretty well. Had a couple of sneaky good scrambles out of the pocket. Got nailed a couple of times. Got caught in a pile where his knee got rolled up on a little bit, but he seemed to be okay. I think I feel good about having them, potentially pinching this division. I think they looked really good.
Yeah, the Giants weren't as bad as what I thought they were going to be, particularly on defense. I thought they held up really well to the run. They're very big up front.
They set themselves to stop the run today. That was their number one goal coming in. Yep,
and it worked. And I just said, I think they're better than what I thought they were going to be, and I'm happily surprised. I think Steelers are going to be all right, though. Juju looked motivated. He's, contract year. That's always a great motivation for guys, but he looks like he's ready to, really had 2 touchdowns, the game sealer as well. And their defense just looks so strong up front. Bud Dupree played a really good game. Like, we normally talk TJ Watt, but Dupree was the pass rusher that set the tone today. It wasn't a great start for Andrews, the rookie left tackle that they took with the 4th pick, which everyone was a little bit like, is he the best? We'll find out. It's the first game, and I could imagine playing left tackle in the NFL is really difficult, especially in your first start against a defense like the Steelers, so I won't rag on him, but it wasn't a lot of positive. And Daniel Jones, I sent a message to our fantasy group, which got a couple of Giants fans in it, saying, I feel like I'm watching Eli 2.0. 3 good play, 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. That's what he was like. He'd have a great drive and then throw a pick to a nose tackle. Like, take the sack, throw the ball away. Like, what are you doing? Even if he'd not got hit when he threw that pick, the corner had jumped the route already. It would have been a worse pick because it might have been a pick 6 if he'd not been hit. Like, feel the moment, Jones. I know you're young, but the NFL's not forgiving. And I don't think the Giants will stick around with that sort of stuff. He's already got a coach fired. I don't think they'll stick around with a guy like that. He fumbled again today. He had 18 fumbles last year, lost 10 of them. It's not a recipe for success. And if the Giants want to get back to being, competitors again, I'm just not sold on him. Much like Garoppolo, I'm not going to sell my stock on him, but I'm just not sure. I'm very wary of that stock. I'm going to be watching it. And if it grew a little bit, I'd probably sell it before the fall. I think that's where I'm at right now with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I don't. I mean, I don't think any of us were particularly big on the Giants this year. I thought they were going to be anything much. And watching the Pittsburgh game plan coming in was, stop Saquon Barkley at every opportunity. I think at one point he had 9 rushes for -6 yards.
Yeah.
That was the whole game plan. They were going to stop the run and say, "There you go, Daniel Jones. If we lose to you, so be it." But I think they were confident they weren't going to, and they weren't going to. They knew if they shut that game down completely and they overcommitted to it, safeties were down in the box on most downs, especially early downs. And then they forced, they say, okay, young fella, see if you can beat us. And he couldn't. Simple as that.
In the future he might, but I'm just, as I said, I'm not super confident. I will see. We'll see how it goes. Last game in order of the week. I've got one more coming up after this, and I've saved the best till last. But the most even contest ever without the points. That was the Denver Broncos, Tennessee Titans, which, I love sluggy, like hitting football. This was sluggy hitting football. These guys were going after it. But just their yards. So total yards, 377 to 353. Passing yards, 247 to 241. Rushing yards, 130 to 123. Average yards per play, 4.8 to 5.2. Points scored, 16-14. Interceptions thrown, 0. Sacks allowed, Tennessee, only 1. Third down efficiency, 43%, 41%. Time of possession, 32 to 27. Penalties, 5 each. Like, you don't get much more even than that. It was a good game. And the other thing I couldn't work out is, how can Drew Lock look so good and then so bad in like seconds apart? I think he could be really special if they can get him consistent, but he had drives where it was like the second touchdown drive they had. I was like, this guy's, you could put him in the Chiefs uniform and tell me he's Patrick Mahomes. Those throws he just
no, you can't. Stop.
No, he was outstanding. Maybe not Patrick Mahomes, but
you're an idiot.
You could put him in a Green Bay uniform and tell me he's Aaron Rodgers. He was flinging it. He was.
You can't tell me.
He looked outstanding. And then the next drive, he couldn't hit anything. He couldn't get in rhythm. It was bizarre to me, and I hope they can unlock that because it was fun. The only other guy I want to mention, and I mentioned this today to a few people, Clowney, man. Oh shit. He's just. I haven't even looked at his stats yet. I'm going to look at him for the first time. He only had 3 tackles, 1 for loss. The first like 5 plays, he was at the quarterback as he handed it off. The running back was taking it and sprinting away from him. That's how good he was. I think he's going to be nice. I think we're going to see a big year from Clowney, and I think that defense is going to be strong. I think the Titans, I'm happy I picked them. They got the win here. But I said, I'm not shocked. If Denver can keep this going, they'll win some football games this year, and they'll be right in there coming into the year. They'll be right there for a playoff spot.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest one I've disagreed with you on. I really felt watching it, the Titans were in control the whole game. I know you say it was close. I do think Tennessee need to find another back. Henry can't get this many touches like he did last year and survive. They'll need him come the end. They got to get another back in there. When the second highest rusher is Tannehill with 3 carries after Henry's 30-odd, 31 or whatever the hell he had.
Yep.
They've got to find someone else. Someone has got to take some of those rushes away from him. But they looked in control to me. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for a Hall of Fame kicker having a really bad day,
close, you're right.
I really felt like that game was not close. I didn't agree last week in our preview show about the Denver Broncos. I don't feel great about them. Yeah, I think they're going to win games. I think I had them winning 5 or 6. I honestly can't remember. I'd have to look it up. Yeah. But I feel like the quarterback situation, I really don't think it's fixed. I have no Drew Lock stock. I don't want any of it. I keep it out of my portfolio. I don't even want it bought as a part of a package deal with something else. I don't want any of it.
Yeah.
This feels so much like a Baker Mayfield situation to me, where he came in at the end of a season beforehand and got some wins when some of the teams they played were done.
Mhm.
and everyone's like, oh well, that's him. That's who he is. He's a winner. I don't know. I don't feel great about it, and I'm not.
I think I'm a bit higher on them. I thought they were good today.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying they were bad today. Like,
But you're right.
not by any
If
stretch. But
Kowski
I
doesn't miss 2 extra points and 2 field goals and an extra point, they're not even in sight at the end of the game. They're not
yeah,
even
and of course, as soon as he hits one of those field goals, the game totally changes, and I get that. But it really did feel to me like the Titans were in control. I think I had them second behind the Colts, which obviously I don't feel super great about at this very moment. But there's a lot more to like about the Titans than there is about the Broncos right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. They got a lot of good players, and Tannehill looked great. He looked fine. There was no issues there, and he's Derrick Henry. He's going to be very productive. So
is he the slowest fast dude you've ever seen?
Yeah, it's his strides. You think he's not going fast, but his
Yeah.
legs are like 12 foot long. So every step is like 17 Melvin Gordon steps. So
it's weird.
Like Gordon and Lindsay look like they're way faster. They're not. I reckon Henry.
Well, Lindsay got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, like
is he going to be out a few weeks?
No, I think they said he was fine. I haven't seen the report yet. I know he got back up at the end, but I thought Gordon and Lindsay looked like an okay team. To be honest, they used them both a lot, but both differently. They looked fine. I think there's some stuff there to look at if you're a Denver fan. All right. Let's get to the last one, Rich. Brady stinks. You go.
Piss off.
Who won?
All right. So
Brady,
he might be on target to go for 30 picks and Brakeland's instant record.
Yeah.
I think, look, the pick six was bad. That was a bad decision, not a bad throw.
He forced it to Evans too much. He needed to learn Evans is being covered here. He's hurt. He hasn't got the separation. Let it go.
It's almost like he didn't see him. It would have hit Evans in the numbers if the defender wasn't there. It was just a bad decision. It never should have been thrown. The pass itself was fine. The other one, they clearly weren't on the same page, and we don't know the play. So I'm not going to try and lay blame at anyone's feet. And quite frankly, I'm not going to listen to Arians either, because there's a reason who he wants to blame there. Like he can very easily make sure, the blame goes to the right person, because he always defended Winston.
But he threw Brady under the bus that quick.
On that,
you know why? He would have gone to Brady and because Brady would have got it. He would have been like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like,
yeah. So
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for me. The biggest thing for the Bucks is they hurt themselves. As I said, like off the top, or I can't remember if it was in our pre-show, but
nine penalties.
Like for 110 yards or something. Like that is crazy. Way
9
too
penalties,
many.
3 turnovers, 3 sacks allowed, compared to 0 turnovers, 6 penalties, and 1 sack allowed. I'm really worried about the left tackle position for the Bucks. Donovan's
fair.
He's not up to it. He's not an NFL. I don't know why they paid him all that money. I can't work it out. It's not good. And that should be a concern for Brady. But you look at this game,
that's all they could get.
Yeah,
so they had to overpay to make sure they got him.
Yeah, I know. And this is the thing. Like this, people think 11-point win. This game was so much closer than that. The Saints were not
100%.
much better. The Bucks had more total yards than them, more passing yards, 4 more rushing yards. Leonard Fournette really didn't get a lot of snaps because he hasn't been there very long, I'd assume. I think he's going to take them off Ronald Jones eventually.
That'll even out.
Ronald Jones, everyone was raving about him. I went back and watched 66 yards, but he got 21 on one carry.
Yeah, on one carry.
You take that away, he had 16 carries for 40 yards. That's not good. And I know the O-line's not amazing, but that's not good. Fournette wasn't much better, but at least he's learning, and I think he's more talented. So I think that'll change. I'm not worried. I think these guys are going to be fine. I think the Saints are a really good team, and what this showed me is both these teams were really good. It was just one team had a lot more continuity, which was the Saints, which we talked about last week. Yep. They're basically the exact same team. There's no one different but Jameis Winston who's holding a clipboard. That's about the only difference, whereas the Bucks are completely different. I think it's fair to say give them a couple of weeks to find themselves. The one I am concerned about, Rob Gronkowski. He did not look fluent. He looked slow. Didn't block that well. He said he's had a year off football. I'll let it go, but I'm just going to flag that. I'm a little bit concerned about that.
The one good thing is there are good tight ends there, so we don't need him to be awesome.
Ends up being not very good. there's plenty of guys that can fill that spot. OJ Howard scored a touchdown, which people are going to say, oh, who cares? He only had he only had 4 catches for 36 yards. Trust me, if you saw OJ Howard the last couple of years, him scoring a touchdown is a big deal. He's been super unproductive. So, yeah. That's it, mate.
Was great. Defense was good.
Sorry. Defense. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Levante David. I've got the letters confused. I think I messaged you during it saying, how do people not rate this guy? He was...
I know. It's amazing.
He's out. That defense is going to be good. That defense is going to be strong all year. And that's the thing that makes me think they're going to be okay as well. They've got the stars on offense. Let them work it out and let the defense... Like, when they play a crappy team, that defense is going to eat, and that offense will score enough to beat bad teams. I think they'll be there at the end, and if they can get it right during the season, I think they'll be around about. And Brady didn't look bad. Breeze didn't look bad. No one looked bad. I wasn't worried about anyone. I think both these teams are going to be good.
Yeah, well, I think we've got... I'm pretty sure we've got the Broncos and the Chargers and the Bears.
So it's not a horrible...
So it's hardly murderer's row, is it?
No, not at all.
We will know a lot in the next 4 weeks.
Well, that's why we wait for our mulligan picks after week 4, quarter of the season. That's when we can pull a team out and put a team in of our predictions. Well, that's for the show. Thanks again to Breaking Oz Memorabilia for being the major sponsor. I mentioned all at the start of the show. Really appreciate you guys coming on board. As always, thank you to our beer sponsor, Burnley Brewing. Really appreciate you guys. If you're tuning in on YouTube, let me know what you thought of the video. I'm going to make a confession, Richie. The first about 7 minutes aren't going to be...
Saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I'm using a new software and I'm learning, and that's why I didn't want to go live. I was going to do Facebook Live this week, but we're going to start that Thursday night with the Fantasy Football Boys. So tune in Thursday night for them. But I'm just learning it and I missed it. So I'll still put it up. It'll just be missing the starting bit, but that's okay. But yeah, Rich, thanks a lot, mate. Hope you enjoyed football being back. And I guess we'll talk next week.
Can't wait.
Thanks for tuning into the Vault Studio. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to keep up with our video content, head over to YouTube, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thanks for listening.